What's up, guys? It has been 2.5 months that we got our new list, and April 1st with the new ban list is right around the corner. So it's that time of the year again. Keep in mind, these are just my thoughts on the possible upcoming ban list. It's perfectly fine if you don't agree with the choices made here, or have another opinion. Okay, let's start with the cards that have the potential to be banned on April 1st, 2014. I think it's time that the four Dragon Rulers, Tidal, Redux, Blaster and Tempest hit the dust. Ever since the cards have been released, they've had a huge impact on the metagame, and there was a lot of speculation that putting them to 1 or 2 would solve the problem. I thought the same, but I couldn't be more wrong. Hieratic Rulers at the moment is very strong. It also has a high OTK potential, thanks to, for example, the Dragon Rulers, if you decide to run them. They are pretty much a free reborn, free floater every turn, and can bounce back to the hand at the end phase. Let's not forget their additional effect, which is okay, but I think the time is right that Konami finally hits the X on all Dragon Rulers, although they probably won't get a hit. Then a card I gave some thought and eventually put on my list, Birdman. Currently a big tutor OTK card in Karakuri Girgia to spam your field full of synchros. It's not only because of Karakuri Girgia, since Birdman has been involved in a few OTKs, FTKs in the past. I can see this card being banned, but I wouldn't be surprised if they left it at 1. At last, the last card I like to mention is Royal Tribute, a card that has been on my list for a few years now, and I think the reason why is pretty obvious. I think we all lost at least once against Gravekeepers, them winning the dice roll, setting their hand, the spy, activate Necro Valley and Royal Tribute your hand for +2, +3 or +4, getting knowledge of the rest of your hand and rape you on the following turn. I'm pretty sure it will survive the upcoming list, but hopefully not. Now, the cards I'd put to 1. Fire Fist has been one of the best decks past few months. Not much of a surprise with their Rota at 3 and their 1 card Exceed Wolfbark, a very powerful card again. The fact that it can reborn multiple times, I mean once per turn when it's on the field. Yeah, plus the fact that it's searchable with Tenki and an instant rank 4 Exceed at the same time makes this card well worth being at 1. Then, also Fire Fist alike, we have Rekindling. Also a card that has been on my list for the past few years. Pretty much a huge monster reborn in Laval's 3.5 Axis Fire Fist and Fire Kings. The card definitely deserves to be at 1, but I highly doubt this card will be touched. Then, looking at another tier 1 deck for the past few months, Mermails. The deck has survived multiple hits, and every time we thought the deck would not be a top contender, but every time it always was able to adapt, and now it's pretty much one of the top decks. We have a few candidates to weaken this deck, and mainly looking at Theus and Sphere, both very strong cards, searches and so on. I think it's very likely that Konami will hit Mermails again for the TCG, and I think Theus or Sphere both are top contenders to take some kind of hit. Next, again looking at a very powerful deck, a sleeper deck past formats, but now at full force, Hieratics, or with Dragon Rulers, Hieratic Rulers. We've already hit the Dragon Rulers, so we are mainly looking at a standalone Hieratic deck, much known for its high OTK potential and dragon spam. After being trap stunned, for example. What are the options? We have Hieratic Seal, their Rota, has the possibility of being touched and put to 2 or 1, but the card that I think has the highest chance of being put to 1 is Atum. It's a powerful searcher for any dragon from your deck, very easy to make, and overlay for 2600 trample, beat stick, and so on. Next, we have Girgias. They have regained their position as a top deck this format, and they'll also get new support in a few months. Girgi Augur is a new searcher, a mini Stratos, and the potential shenanigans with duplication. Birdman definitely is a candidate of being banned, but looking at Girgias themselves, we also have a few options here. But the card I think has the most chance of being put to 1 is Girgia Gear. Short set, it's basically a rescue rabbit for Kirgia. Slower, yes, because it's a trap card. That when you don't have your level 3 Kirgias in your deck, but Daiguster Emerald puts in some work in this case. It's an end phase rescue rabbit and an instant rank 4 exceed in your turn, mainly looking at Arknight, Kirgagant X and Excited Knight. The last card, Output to 1, is also a card that has been on my list for years now. And now with the current trend we all call hobening, people splash it into pretty much every deck. Reckless Greed. The card has a very good restriction, don't draw for the next 2 turns, but you can bypass that restriction if you draw multiples at the same time. And that's where the problem is. We have a lot of draw cards at our disposal, also a lot of search cards and so on, which increases the chance of opening or drawing into multiples at the same time and bypass its restriction. I think right now is the perfect moment of finally hitting Reckless Greed back to, at least put it to 1. Before I go to the next section, people always say that with every ban list, Konami unbans a card. So let's continue the trend. A possible candidate for our TCG list is Elemental Hero Stratos. Looking at the upcoming hero structure deck, might be a hint of this card's return. But then they cannot forget other cards, those which are at 3 at the moment, cards like Malicious, Destiny Draw and Bubble Man. So just bringing back Stratos and not hitting the earlier cards mentioned is definitely not a good idea. Another card could be Trishula. Once it was one of the pretty much the best synchro monster in the game, which could easily win a game on its own. Looking at Synchro Plant, for example, with Tengu and Bulb a few years ago. Trishula has been at 1 in the OCG for some time now, experimented by Konami themselves, so I won't be surprised that the TCG will also get it back. Although I'm very skeptical, bringing back Trishula is very risky. Then the cards I put to 2. The first card has been on my list for a few years, Book of Moon. Book of Moon is a very skillful card. Essentially it's a -1, but when played well you can disrupt pretty much all your opponent's plays. Then we have Fire Formation Tenki, which won't come as a surprise I think. The Searcher for Bear, Yamato, Chaos and so on. I think it's very likely Tenki will take some kind of hit for the April list. The last card that has the potential to be put at 2 is Gorse. Once this card was a beast, but it has pretty much fallen off the radar for some time now. It just doesn't have a place in decks like Fire Fist or Mermills, for example, but this is obviously not a solid reason. Another thing we cannot forget is that at this moment, Gorse is at 3 in the OCG, again experimented by Konami, like Trishula. Gorse is a very powerful card, but I won't be surprised that it might be put to 2, we'll have to see. Last, the cards that could be brought back to 3. First we have Magician of Fate. Following the trend of Tsukuyomi, a lot of power spells are banned and for example Dark Hole, Monster Reborn, Monster Reborn and Heavy Storm, not the Dark Hole. And the card itself, Magician of Fate, is very slow because it's a flip effect. I think it's safe to put it back to 3. The last card on the list is Lonefire Blossom. This is what I don't want to see. It's currently at 2, but with all the new plant support and looking at Shinra's Sylvanseer, it won't come as a surprise that Lonefire could go to 3. It definitely won't be healthy for the game because it's a huge tutor for OTKs, looking at Gigavice for example, and now with Shinra's opening with Lonefire opens up a lot of combos. I'd rather not see this card coming back to full force, but again I won't be surprised if Konami makes this move again to push sales, to push newer decks. Okay, that's it. I think we can expect the official TCG list, the leak or the release, around the 20th of March, so in about 2 weeks. Then we should know our TCG list. Guys, again, these are just my thoughts on the possible upcoming 2014 April ban list. It's perfectly fine that you don't agree with the cards that were mentioned here. Thanks for watching, and feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. Also, you can every time leave your list down below. Thanks for watching. Liam signing out. Peace.